Being insecure around women is probably the least attractive thing that you can do, and a lot of guys are insecure without even knowing it. I know when I was growing up and I was starting this journey of building social confidence, building my charisma and skills with women, I was coming off really insecure and I didn't even realize this. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 ways that guys come off as insecure, and the last 2 ways guys come off as insecure are actually not very obvious at all, and they're probably the reason you're getting a lot of these nice to meet you, I just want to be friends, I don't feel a connection type of texts. So the first and most obvious thing that guys do that come off as insecure is you're just like shaking, super nervous, not making eye contact, not feeling good enough to approach the girl, which is obviously a big turnoff. And the best way to overcome this that I've found is just by being more social in your day-to-day life. What I actually have is I have a 20 to 30 minute morning routine that I go through every single day that involves social interaction, that involves saying good morning to people, high-fiving people on the street, getting into interactions, showing some intent, giving compliments, all of these things, building up consistent actions throughout my day that make me more social so that I don't come off insecure in my actual interactions with people in the first 10, 20, 30 seconds. This is where people are gonna judge you the most, and you just need to understand that people are gonna see you as super insecure if you're not able to get this under control and feel calm just approaching or talking to people on the street. The second and less obvious way that you might be coming off insecure, and I still do this to this day, probably a little too much, is using too many filler words. Some of the worst filler words are obviously like. I know a lot of guys that say I guess after questions. I know a lot of guys that say I guess after they make a statement. So I want to do this, I guess. And really what you're doing is you're softening that so that people can judge you less, but it just comes off insecure because you're not sure what you want. And so you don't want to do that. What you can do if you have these verbal tics and you know that this is something you want to change is you can just talk slower in your day-to-day life. And when you catch yourself, just acknowledge it in your head. Like, okay, cool, I know I did the verbal tic. I'm going to stop and go back, and I'm gonna repeat that same exact sentence again. And it might be weird, it might come off as cringe or awkward, but as a guy that was learning this stuff in my early 20s, I would have rather just had an awkward situation come up and had to deal with the fact that I repeated myself without the filler words and have to explain that and be like, yeah, well, I'm trying to get rid of filler words, and that's a really bad habit, and I don't like that I do it, so I just make myself repeat it. And even if that's a little weird, a lot of people will honestly respect that, which leads me into point number 3. So point number 3 is giving in too easily to social pressure, because the fact is, guys, if you're watching this channel, you want to get better at socializing, talking to women, and building your social confidence, which is not normal. Okay, it is not a normal average thing for the normal average guy to do, to go outside, practice socializing, push his social confidence, approach women on the street. And honestly, too many guys have big egos around, oh, I'm actually good with girls, I don't need to work on this. And so there's gonna naturally be a bit of judgment that comes from the average, normal, kind of bro dude that's gonna be directed towards you, and you're gonna have to be able to deal with that. The biggest thing that I see guys doing is giving in to the temptation to drink when you go out at night, or just not approaching girls that are in groups because they're worried that people will judge them. The fact is, if you want to be a guy that women are super excited to see, you need to be confident enough to say at a bar when you're talking to a girl, yeah, I'm out alone, or yeah, I'm not drinking. Really, those things are not that big of a deal as long as you own what you're doing. So many guys half-ass this part of their life because they're worried about coming off weird or coming off not cool. There is no room for being cool in this, guys. There's just room for getting results and getting better. And that's what you should care about a lot more than being cool. So if this is you, if you run into this and you actually find yourself being insecure around these things, what I want you to do is I just want you to fucking own the thing you're insecure about, the thing you're worried the person's gonna judge you about. Whether it's a nerdy hobby like video games, or just the fact that you're working on your social skills and you're trying to get better at going out and talking to women, going out at night and not drinking, whatever it is, own that shit. Own that shit, man. And then just realize that no one really cares. And if they do, fuck them, because you care about your goals more than you care about what other people think of you. And that's the type of guy you want to be anyway. So the next way that guys come off as really insecure when they're talking to women is they're way too put off by a single rejection when they're trying to escalate. So say you're talking to a girl, you're on a date, and things are actually going really well, and you try to kiss the girl, and she says no. A lot of guys will get really insecure about that and be like, well, I guess this date's ruined. Well, I guess she doesn't ever want to kiss me. And they might even second guess if they want to try to kiss her on the second date, which is insane to me. When you get rejected, it just means no in the moment. That's all that means. And if you don't put pressure on the other person to do something that they don't want to do, a lot of times they'll open up to the idea of escalating more in the future, even on the same date. A lot of times if I try to kiss a girl and she says no, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, no problem. We're not going to do anything you don't want to. Later on in the date, she actually wants to kiss me because I showed that, hey, there's no pressure here. You don't have to do any of this stuff. It's not a big deal. So if you're catching yourself being insecure about this type of thing, then all you have to do is just take the rejection in stride and realize it doesn't mean anything long-term. It just means in the moment, right now, this isn't it. That's actually totally fine. Doesn't mean that she doesn't like you, doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that she doesn't want to kiss you right now, or she doesn't want to go back with you, or she doesn't want to do X, Y, Z, whatever thing. So the final thing that guys do that makes them look super insecure is assuming that other people are judging you or looking down on you. As a guy, especially if you're watching this channel, really the only thing you should be worried about is what are my goals and what are the actions I need to take to reach those goals. And that is it. You shouldn't be worried about if people judge you, if people look down on you. Shouldn't worry about any of that stuff. And honestly, if you're the type of guy that thinks other people are judging them and looking down on them, you're probably the type of guy that compares himself to other people way too much. And that's actually not a very admirable trait. What you should be comparing yourself to is just who am I today compared to who I was yesterday. And that's really all that matters. So if you catch yourself caring too much about what people think, or thinking that other people are going to judge you for approaching a girl in public, or for going for what you want in life, or just generally taking risks, doing anything that's outside the norm, realize that that's because you feel insecure about yourself. It has nothing to do with the other people. You're just projecting your own insecurities onto other people. And that was something that was honestly very, very hard for me to acknowledge. And I'm probably going to get some guys in the comments that are like, bro, but there's actually some, I'm actually really weird and people are actually judgmental and this and that. And yeah, man, you might just not be there yet where you're ready to accept this reality, but it is something that makes you come off insecure, and it's something that's going to turn girls off when you go on dates with them. So if you like this video and you want to work with me personally on how I can help you overcome your insecurities, approach consistently, and just learn generally how to be better with women, build a better social life, build a better dating life, and just master your own inner self-confidence, you can click the link down below and join my community where you get access to a ton of courses. So 5 times a week, there's a touch point with me where you can get exact direct feedback one-on-one from me. And then we'll also do a one-on-one 30-minute onboarding call where I'll set you up with an exact game plan when you join the community. So you can click the link down below and join right now. I'll see you guys in the next video.